The big white mansion was the kind of place people whispered about. It stood at the edge of the city, a symbol of money and success. The mansion had tall glass windows that caught the morning sun. But behind those windows, there was no peace. There was only chaos. The story of the house spread through the city's circles of luxury and money. It was known that no nanny who worked there ever stayed for long. Every single one left. Some left in tears. Others left vowing they would never come back. The reason was always the same. The millionaire's twin boys. They were just 6 years old. Every childcare agency in town had given up on the boys. They had all been labeled unmanageable. Their father was a powerful business magnate named Andrew Ramsey. He had all the wealth in the world. He had a big house and a fast car. But he had no peace inside his home. The boys had lost their mother when they were barely toddlers. It was a time they were too young to remember her clearly. But they felt the loss every single day. They were in constant pain. This pain made them act out. With each new nanny, they would test the limits. They pushed boundaries. They did this to make sure no one could ever replace the love they had lost. They were not mean boys. They were just two small children who were very, very sad. That morning, another nanny ran out of the front door. She was angry and frustrated. She muttered that she had seen enough. She got into a car and drove away. Andrew stood there in the doorway watching her leave. He felt tired. He felt exhausted. He wondered how two small children could create such a storm. It was a storm that no adult could handle. He felt powerless. He was a man who solved big problems at work. But he could not solve the problem of his own home. That same afternoon, the towering iron gates of the mansion opened. A woman named Kate stepped up to them. She was not a professional nanny. She was a maid. She was applying for a housekeeping job. She was not dressed in expensive clothes. Her uniform was simple and clean. Her eyes looked a little tired, but they were also kind. Her hands carried a quiet strength. You could tell she had worked hard her whole life. The agency had sent her because, honestly, no one else wanted to take the job. They had given up on the house. When she walked inside, she did not just see the luxury. She noticed something else. She noticed the silence. The house was big and beautiful, but it was also empty of sound. This was unnatural in a home with two young boys. She saw Andrew in his perfect suit. He spoke to her in a cold, quick voice. He explained her job was to clean. He said her job was not to interfere. He wanted her to be like a ghost. He wanted her to clean the mess without being seen or heard. But Kate's eyes did not stay on Andrew. They moved to the staircase. Two small faces were peeking out from behind a railing. The boys were watching her. Their eyes were full of suspicion. They were sizing her up. From the first moment, Kate knew they would test her. She knew they would try to make her leave. She was not scared. She just felt a little sad for them. The test started right away. The boys knocked over a vase. It was a big, expensive vase. It broke into many pieces on the floor. Most people would have yelled. But Kate just got her broom and dustpan. She cleaned it up without saying a word. A little later, they poured juice on the freshly mopped floor. The bright red liquid spread out like a puddle of blood. Kate did not scold them. She just got her mop and cleaned it up again. They hid her cleaning supplies. She went on a search for them quietly. She never showed her frustration. Most people would have gotten angry. They would have yelled. But Kate did not. She saw their actions for what they were. It was a cry for attention. It was a test. They wanted to see if she would leave, just like all the others. They wanted to know if she was different. At night, Kate finished her work. The big house was silent again. She was about to go to her room when she heard whispers from the boys' bedroom. Their voices were small and uncertain. She could hear them talking to each other. "Do you think she will be here tomorrow?" One of them whispered. "She's probably going to leave, just like everyone else." Kate's heart ached. She knew they were right to be afraid. Everyone had left them before. It was in that moment that something shifted inside her. She decided she would not just be the maid. She would not just clean the house. She would try to reach the broken hearts that were hiding behind all that anger. She would clean the pain, not just the mess. She knew it would be hard. but she felt she had to try. Days turned into weeks. Kate did not fight the boys' mischief with anger. She fought it with patience. She showed them kindness instead of a scolding. She started to learn their secrets. The older twin was Jason. He would act tough. He would pretend he didn't care about anything, but Kate found out he secretly collected his mother's old scarves. He kept them hidden under his pillow like a treasure. The younger twin was Jaden. He would get into trouble all the time. He did this to hide a secret of his own. He couldn't sleep at night without a lullaby. He was a small boy who still needed to be sung to. No one had known this. Kate began to quietly do things no one had taken the time to do before. She would leave little notes in their lunchboxes. They were simple notes. One might say, "You are stronger than you think." Another note might say, "Your mom would be proud of you today." These were just small words, but they were full of love. She started cooking meals the boys liked. It meant extra work for her in the kitchen, but she did it with a smile. She found ways to include the boys in her chores. She turned cleaning into little games. They would pretend to be spies looking for dust bunnies. They would race to see who could shine a window the fastest. This made the boys feel important. It made them feel like they were a part of something. They did not feel ignored anymore. Andrew began to notice changes. At first, they were small. The boys, who used to slam doors, now closed them softly. They had refused to come to dinner for months. Now they came to the table willingly when Kate called. Their laughter, which had been rare and quiet, now filled the halls of the house. For the first time in years, the mansion did not feel like a cold, empty building. It felt like a home. Andrew was a man of logic. He did not understand how Kate was doing what no professional nanny could do. He tried to think of a reason. Was she just lucky? Was it just a phase? But the changes were real. They were happening every day. One evening, he came home early from work. He was still thinking about a big business deal. He walked into the house and heard no noise. He walked upstairs toward the boys' room. What he saw there made him stop. He froze at the doorway. The boys were curled up asleep on the bed. One was on each side of Kate. She herself had dozed off while reading to them. Her arm was around Jaden. Jason had his hand on her hair. The scene was so peaceful. It was so full of love and warmth. It was a picture of a family. For a moment, Andrew felt a sharp pain in his chest. It was an ache he had not allowed himself to feel since his wife's death. He realized this woman, Kate, was giving his sons something he could not. She was giving them a home. But Kate's work was not always easy. There were bad days. There were times when the boys would be quiet for hours. They would retreat into silence. There were moments when their grief would bubble up in sudden outbursts of sadness or anger. But Kate never walked away. She never gave up. She always stayed. She taught them to plant flowers in the garden. She told them that just like flowers, broken hearts needed care and patience to grow again. She helped them water the seeds. She showed them how to be gentle with the new plants. Slowly, the boys began to trust her. They also started to trust themselves. They began to heal. Months passed. The flowers in the garden grew big and beautiful. The boys' hearts were healing too. One rainy evening, Andrew came home from work. He was feeling tired. He was walking past the boys' room when he heard something. It brought him to tears. The twins were talking in their room before bed. Their voices were soft. They were having a private conversation. Jason whispered, "Do you think Kate will leave us?" The question was full of old fear. And Jaden replied softly, with a voice full of new certainty, "No, she's different. She's home." That single word, home, changed everything for Andrew. He had always seen Katia as an employee. He had seen her as a good person who was helping. But he had never seen her as the true heart of his home. He now understood that Kate had just taken care of his sons. She had given them back the love and stability and hope they had lost. She had given them a new home to believe in. One weekend, Andrew asked Katia to join him and the twins for breakfast. The boys were excited. They were running around the table. They were happy. Halfway through the meal, Andrew made an announcement. His voice was a little shaky, but it was full of truth. He said that Kate would no longer just be the maid. She was now officially their full-time caretaker. She was someone who was as much a part of their family as anyone could be. Tears came to Kate's eyes, but she smiled. She knew the real reward was not a new job title. It wasn't the position. The real reward was seeing the two little boys smile. They were smiling without the fear of being left behind. She had helped turn a cold mansion into a warm and loving home. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the power of patience, kindness, and unconditional care, please take a moment to like this video. Share it with someone who needs a reminder of hope. And subscribe to Tales by Nanny for more stories that show the strength of compassion. Before this video ends, I would love for you to comment below. Do you believe that love and patience can change even the hardest hearts? I can't wait to read your thoughts.